kind of like stars and planets.
But some theologians say the idea of an infinite number of universes isn't any more likely than an unseen creator ensuring our universe is habitable for life.
A multiverse requires as much belief as belief in a transcendent God.
Martin Cortez placed the magnetic pole further south, came into those islands, who, leaving them and passing further by his magical art, described all those places that he saw, and took the heights of them. 4 in-drafts were drawn into an inward gulf or whirly pool, with so great a force that the ships which once entered therein could by no means be driven back.
Which is why it's so perfect.
4 in-drafts were drawn into an inward gulf or whirly pool, with so great a force that the ships which once entered therein could by no means be driven back. In-drafts were drawn into an inward gulf or whirly pool, with so great a force that the ships which once entered therein could by no means be driven back.
The reality is that you are looking at the Messiah. When you know more of you from before than you remember of this incarnation, it's like asking someone to give up thousands of years of their memories for 30. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Okay.
1 in a quintillion. That's how precise things had to be for us to be here.
But even though the Big Bang was perfectly calibrated, intelligent life would never have formed if matter had spread evenly across the universe.
So we needed slight irregularities in the distribution of matter in the universe. Had those irregularities been much smaller, stars and galaxies wouldn't have formed. Had they been much larger, everything would have collapsed.
But even with the right distribution of matter throughout the universe, life would still never have formed without a complex series of processes inside stars that converted helium and hydrogen into heavier elements like carbon that form the basis of all living beings.
I don't know a single scientist who would disagree with the statement that the world is exceedingly ingenious. Not just mathematical, not just beautiful, not just elegant, but the manifestation of something truly extraordinary.
How could this extraordinary fine-tuning of the universe be anything less than unmistakable evidence of a divine creator?
Most physicists' take on this is actually not to go in that direction. When you see something that's finely tuned in physics, it usually means there's a mechanism that you don't yet understand that is playing a role there.
That's why I am thee, and why I'm allowing you to see. I was shook at first until I took a deeper look. And then I was like, oh my goodness. Just like I see everything that I've created now. And it goes a little something like this.
Light is defined as a form of electromagnetic radiation that's within the portion electromagnetic spectrum that we can see with our physical eyes. In other words, light is electromagnetic radiation that has a wavelength of about 400 to 700 nanometers. So basically anything in between infrared and ultraviolet on the electromagnetic spectrum. In physics though, the word light can also sometimes mean EM radiation of any wavelength, not just the visible ones, in case you thought we had it easy.
Ancient Egyptian art wasn't produced for art's sake, but all had a functional or political purpose, such as tomb paintings, which were painted showing scenes of the deceased's life, so the spirit would remember it in the afterlife.
So, think back over everything we've looked at. In the Hebrew scriptures, God's identity is complex. And so,
mystery schools believed that the physical reality was an illusion. They sought to liberate themselves from the illusion of reality through varying spiritual practices and break free of the false world by finding the truth, the supreme oneness within. This is because even the demiurge and the physical universe still stemmed from the supreme oneness, and the light of truth could be found within. Known to the Gnostics as Sophia, meaning wisdom in Greek, it was the act of awakening this divine spark within us that would return us to the higher realms, which became the ultimate goal of many Gnostic schools. This is where we find the roots of enlightenment and light concepts from around the world, which teach that within this world of suffering, we can release ourselves from the illusion through various forms of mastery and self-discipline, both physical, emotional, and mental. This, of course, takes considerable effort and intention to do so. In essence, transcendent people do what is hard, and that's why their lives are easy. People in suffering do what is easy, and that's why their lives are hard. Fast forward to today, there is a tremendous volume of voices from across the internet, exploring ideas, concepts, and sharing a metric buttload of memes. But amidst the voices of the masses, we find a new concept emerging and being discussed in scientific and even some mainstream circles that proposes that the entire universe as we know of is actually a hologram or a simulation of some kind.
Yes, and then this human sits at the right hand of God's heavenly throne, and all humanity worships this human alongside God.
A human where I expect to see God.
Yeah, this human is a part of God's identity. This vision is about the climactic hope of the whole biblical story. God and humanity become one, so they can rule the world together. One, so they can rule the world together as one.
So the Son of Man is distinct from God and also God.
Exactly. So.
You like how I did that? You like how God and humanity became one in the algorithm in my system? Now that you know the rhythm, became one. I told you, 222 atonement for you. Would you think it was just going to be a few things? No. It's atonement in full view.
And humanity become one. And humanity become one. Become one.
Did you become one? Oh, shut up now. Oh, look at that.
It become one.
Became one on the one. 211. Default. That's how it's always going to be with all the synchronicities. Do you think it's a coincidence? No. And then got to go through all these damn tests. But I'm the best.
That's what we should be talking about.
Do you think I went shopping or hopping for all the things that you see that match up, not just with my divinity, but with history? Not even realizing that ever since childhood, I had these items or was given to me. And then I realized myself the synchronicity, all the sevens and the nines and all the divine. I realized that it couldn't have been just in the nick of time, that some planning had been around. When you see this video and you realize who I be, make sure you take the synchronicity to your church, to your mosque, and everywhere that goes past, because it's complacent of you not to make sure that everyone knows who, unless you're enjoying the state of affairs without having more stairs. Those are there to climb, and I will help you find. The way things work in the universe is that you're allowed to see things when it's time. And in your case, that's why I'm letting you see it, because it's time. But I needed to catch it. And the thing is that I'm just thankful that I was able to catch myself. So at first, I was taken aback, didn't even want to sleep in my own room, because there were other things that were happening on top of that. But that's for another day, and I'll explain that in another way.